Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us on a Sunday evening. And we have Champa Saha ma'am here. She's a well-known person in our group. She's always been the advisor, the voice of reason, and she has been an educator for close to 4 decades now. And she has a setup called Maya Kunj in Bangalore, where a lot of happy kids learn in their own ways, in neuroaffirmative ways. And she's been a guide for them for many years and for hundreds of kids like them. So we are delighted to have you today, Champaji, and we hope that parents who are aspiring to help their kids appear for NIOS exams really get some guidance today from you, and they can take their first few steps towards learning at home or in school setup. Thank you so much, ma'am.
Most welcome. I am doing what my heart desires. So I should thank all of you for giving me this opportunity. Okay, so some quick things before we head into more practical aspects. One is the main thing is that the fundamental of this idea that children who are different uh, have a right to formal education. We have to have that as a launching pad in our minds, and that is how we are going to be able to finally convince the larger society it's a right. There's no privilege here. Nobody is doing anybody a favor. Nobody is making it easy for anybody. And if you look at the other movements that have happened over the years, wherever little forward we have reached in the understanding that children with learning disability or ADHD can be in schools, and things can be done in ways that help them to learn. All that happened after decades of fighting for their rights. Basically, it's a right. So when we talk of this group of learners who are autistic, probably nonverbal, and and the immediate first thing that comes is what are they going to do? Like, even if they study, they can't do things. We'll see about that. Why are you bothered about that? Is what I tell people. There are billions of people out there who've studied things and are not doing things with it anymore. I mean, there are people who have done medicine and have become a rock star singing and all. So let's not go there. Let's just talk about the right of a child. It's there in the UN Charter. It is there in the Constitution of India. It is there everywhere. A child, after being born into this world, has certain rights. And one of them is access to education, which is formal education. So let's be very clear, all the parents on this group and wherever this goes, that we are only working from that perspective. Now we come to the two main things about education or formal education, I would say it. One is the teaching, which is the input, and the other is the response, which is where the learner displays whatever the level of learning. Now comes the interesting part. When we talk of autistic learners, and that too, non-verbal autistic learners, even a notch higher, now look at these two areas. How is input given to a learner? We show, we talk, we give lectures, we read notes, we read textbooks, whatever. The inputs are all sensory pathways. They reach the learner, all the information reaches the learner through sensory inputs. What about the other side, the response? They have to show, tell, point, spell, type, write. That's all motor. Now we are left with this massive challenge with our bunch of learners who are highly curious, quite intelligent, different levels of intelligence, ranging from the below average to the average to the higher average, as is in the group outside of this, the normal world, the general world. There is a range of IQ, and they are learners. But these two areas, the input area through the sensory pathways and the response area through motor, both are challenge areas for autism. And that is what has made the world decide that our autistic children need not learn academics, or need not, they can't learn, they're not fit for learning. because they don't understand what autism is at all. Not that we do much, but it's so much to understand, but they don't understand it at all. Now, when we are planning a lesson for our learners, we have to keep this in mind in very, very bold letters. All the time, we have to remember that both the areas that involve formal learning are areas of different levels of challenge for our children. So, to begin with, uh, we start by bringing in the idea or the concept of learning in the environment. We talk of studies, we talk of learning, we talk of subjects, we talk of topics, and we just bring this whole thing into the environment. Our kid may be running around, maybe jumping, maybe stimming, maybe vocalizing, maybe fidgeting, maybe on a swing, maybe doing climbing, anything. But we're just talking about it. We're putting it out there.
तुम्हारे बारे में बताएंगे
And while we put it out there, we are giving our little one the opportunity to factor that aspect into the life now. So the first day, we don't sit with a book or something like that and we start teaching. We don't do that. Because now our learner, who has very different ways of figuring out this world around him or her, now has this thread. Because remember, our learners are intelligent children. They're actually listening, they're taking things in. So we bring in this whole thing. And we start with life itself. A child sleeps, a child eats, a child plays with water, takes a bath, a child goes outside and plays, or inside, whatever. Everything around us is a topic. So the child is having dal chawal, and I say, "Oh, today your food is carbohydrate and protein. That's a good combination." And I walk away or something. And then I might from somewhere say, carbs give us energy. And now I know what's making you jump around so much. You have a lot of energy coming in from your healthy food. Proteins make us grow. Our body has cells, tissues. So you see how you can just simply build on a topic. You're talking about it. Why I have used this method for years, and believe me, it's got nothing to do with children, who are differently abled or whatever you may call it. I have been in mainstream classrooms for years. And that's how I realized that I make a topic or a chapter or a subject relatable to a child. So that's the thing. Whatever you do, you first have to make the connections. And here, there is a very important neuroscience of learning to keep in mind. The brain learns making connections. The brain does not relate to just some random thing thrown at a child's face one fine day. Doesn't do that. It relates to connections. I don't bring in the alphabet right in the beginning. We talk and we say, you know what I said just now? Your name, Champa. It's a word. It's made up of letters. There are 26 letters in the English alphabet. And this is CHAMPA. That's called the spelling. I'm bringing in the vocabulary that will be needed by me once I start, when I get into the book, the text, the maybe on the screen, whatever, the content. So words like letters, alphabet, spelling, word, sentence, these are just random things. So we bring it into the child's life before we start with. And we keep it going, actually. We don't stop it there. Once the child knows how to read, we don't just stop saying the words anymore. We keep using them more and more, because the child now has a much better way of relating to each of these important components, items of the vocabulary. Everything, start by integrating it in life and continue to do that. Like I said, whatever you do at home, your house itself, the materials your house is made of, what we wear, the clothes, the air, the weather, seasons, the sky, everything is a topic that is there in a textbook. So you build these narratives. You're out for a walk in the park. Your kid is, I take my children out to the park every morning. Some of you might have seen my pictures when I put them out. And then I just randomly say, oh my God, what happened to the leaves? They're all turning yellow now. Oh, the season is changing. But Bangalore is very different. We don't get autumn the way we get, other places. So it's just a thing that I've put. We will carry it forward in some class someday, and the relating will happen because it's a lived experience. So similarly, things like food they eat, like I said, anything. So integrate the learning in life. You're talking of evaporation. Say, oh my God, I never realized making tea. The water's evaporating. Come, see. So your kid may not even come and just stand over there and see it. Doesn't matter. Remember, our learners are autistic learners. We have no clue how much they take in just by being in the environment. So you have to overcome your social conditioning of years, of generations, that we have to look and stare at the teacher's face for it to be established that the learner is focusing. In fact, it's the opposite here. I've had learners tell me later, even when they're looking. So there was this thing called ADD. Now it's got some other name, ADHD, which without the hyperactivity, that they can sit and look at you and just be anywhere else in the world. Anywhere else. They're not there at all. They missed it completely. So all this looking eye contact and all this is some kind of, it's a waste of time. But they are there. And we all the time we talk about how unique the sensory system of the autistic mind is. Then we need to remember that. Maybe I can't hear if I've got music going on or if I'm playing with stuff and all, but my autistic learner can. It's a different kind of a sensory input and processing system. I normally don't hear anything when I switch on a light. Do you people hear anything when you switch, apart from the tuck of the switch? Do you hear anything? Oh, one of my learners told me he can hear the current going through. Amazing. So there are so many things. So you talk, you say things, they are listening, they're taking it in. You don't have to insist. But yes, I always tell my learners, I am different, Papa. I am the kinds who likes to sit down and read and, have my learner sit in front of me. Can you please oblige me? Why do we insist on inclusion, talking about their difference? I am different from them. I have to insist on that. And I say, I'm very different from you. I have this kid, now, whose one of the regulation methods is this huge, loud clap. Tuck, 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 tuck. I know exactly what is going on. And I tell him, my eardrums are going to crack one day. You've got to find another way, man. Like your Champa is going to go deaf one day. And he smiles and laughs, and then he cups his hands and he does this. So I tell him, I'm so different from you. I'm like, well, I'm sorry, but that's the way it is. I cannot take this. So we have to remember that this sensory differences that we so glibly talk about, don't let it become just a theory. You are the mother and the father of that child. Don't let these theories and these isms just become something academic. That's the life your kid is living. So you've got to be conscious of that all the time. Now, there's another thing in the learning thing. We hear that children with autism are very patterned. They stick on to, if you give them one something, they'll stick on to that. Yes, to some extent, some autistics are patterned, and they find comfort in predictability. They find less anxiety. That is fine and good. My point is, why not make this pattern as wide-based as possible? Why limit it to one or two things? So when we make schedules, for our children, me and my, the mothers, and we work together, I tell them to put multiple slashes. Monday evening, reading oblique, like cycling oblique, movie watching oblique, because you never know where life will lead us on a particular Monday. So, and when the platform of possibilities, right from the beginning, is like that wide, it all gets figured into your child's pattern. But when you have given him or her only one or two things, the pattern becomes this. And the day we move out of it, we have a massive overwhelm to deal with. Not blaming the kid at all. Same thing for teaching in academics. Subjects, names of subjects, there's something called geography, there's something called history, there's languages, and there's a grammar part to the language, then there's a literature part, there's poetry and stories. All this is part of your conversation. You are bringing up an intelligent child. He or she has the right to participate in all these kind of discussions. Don't keep them out of discussions. Don't have expectations that they'll sit and chat with you, maybe like your neurotypical child. But then that's what diversity is all about. Your neurodiverse kid is a participant to the table discussions or the bedroom discussions in their own way. They might be sitting there, they might be doing something else, roaming around. When the children come to me, we talk of the football that's going on, we talk of the Wimbledon that's going on, we talk of other sports, and just about everything that we generally talk about with each other. Uh, there is so much curiosity. Once I started this way back, long back, with some children at that time that I was working with, I realized how much curiosity. And why was I surprised? I don't know. Because I was a victim of social conditioning. Even though I have forced myself, worked tremendously consciously on myself to be this, teacher who knows that there are just billions of kinds of learners, yet it took me by surprise. And that really cautioned me, about how the world out there views many of our children. So don't become a victim to the social conditioning, even unconsciously. To talk of science, geography, the coming El Nino, the global warming, how Bangalore used to be. Tata used to say there were no fans in their house, and look, we need ACs. Now that is an actual, this impact of global warming. That is, Champa's son went to Czechoslovakia to play, and he couldn't play because it was 40 degrees. Like, Europe has never heard of 40 degrees. So anything and everything that comes, share your WhatsApp messages, share your Facebook feeds, say that, oh my God, look what is happening. What I mean to say, that all this is your background to the formal education that you are planning for your child. If you think a little deeply, this is the background for other children who go to school, the so-called neurotypicals. They get to be a part of all these discussions right from the time, like, they are there, they're moving around. They're toddling around, parents, grandparents sit and chat, neighbors come over, chat, the participation is always there. So uh, they know kind of internally what's going on and all that. For our children, we have to make a little bit of a conscious effort, because it's kind of participating from both sides, you and your kid. But they deserve it, they need it, and it makes the formal education processes later much more meaningful and relatable to them. So we start off with those kind of backgrounds. Now, when I talk of the variety of the platform of possibilities, for example, we do the alphabet, right? A for apple, B for boy. Why? Why condition them? A, like there are trillions of words that begin with A. So you tell them that first. This is an example, it's the most common one. Let's find other examples. And English is the strangest language. It's got these two forms for one letter. So there's something called the big and there's something called the small. And when you do your AAC or when you do your typing, your keypad has this or that, and it's like really crazy. So it's called small case, whatever. Let the information come in first so that the relating happens when they actually strike the R on the keyboard and the small r comes up there on the screen. I'm sure it is so confusing. For us, we take it for granted. We have to tell the children that this is how it is. It's a little silly. I tell them. It's like really crazy, this English. Phonetic. I never use phonetics. English is the most non-phonetic language in the world. I'm an English major. It is my subject of specialty. And I realized I cannot teach ENOUGH phonetically. They keep saying, where is the fur coming from? Champanti, you forgot the F. Enough, one kid told me. I said, yeah, I know. Who made this word? This kid asked. So I said, no clue. Some cartoon made it, and then we are stuck with it now. So, no, we tell them that, letters have sounds. And each one of you have your own mother tongue, which the child hears at home. And thank God for small mercies. Most of our Indian vernacular languages, even the European languages, they are actually phonetic. So if there is a k in Hindi, then the symbol, the graphic symbol is only one. The name of the graphic symbol is k. The sound is also k. It all aligns. It's phonetic. So k, ma, kam makes sense. But in English, COME, come. Where is the phonetics? So we bring this awareness into our little babies. 2 years old, 3 years old, mama wants to talk about English spellings. No problem, you can start it when your baby is 1 year old also. Age is not a bar. When you're giving inputs, it's the receptive stage of life. You can just keep giving inputs. It's no problem at all. So you're teaching the alphabet, you talk about the show it parallelly. This is the big one, this is the smaller one. And when there are words that begin with this, so ant, aunt, ass, army, arav, name, anything. When the first one is that letter, we say it is for. And apple is also an example. It's a common one. So that is what I mean by saying that establish an extremely broad platform of possibilities before even beginning on this, formal journey of chapter, textbook, topic, and keep it going as you go forward. The possibilities, the broader, the wider they are, the more the relating, the more the content starts making sense, the more willingness in the learner to engage with it. It has to be meaningful. Some figuring out has to happen for the learner. And while you're at it, this is the time to bring in the vocabulary for the processes. We sit with something and we look at that, we track it, it's reading. So the eyes are taking in the words, the mind is understanding what it means. We are getting information. It's a way to get information. So it can be from a book, it can be from a written textbook, it can be from the screen, it can be from a hoarding, the different kinds of inputs that you plan to use or that are there. And the same thing, we can also listen to something, we can watch a video, we can hear somebody talking. So all this is like reading. And then sometimes we have to kind of show what we have read. So we may need to type it out, we may need to write it out, or draw it out, or point it out, you know. So that's responding. You're answering. Straight away, we can't tell children today we want to do question answers. What's a question and what's an answer? These are not parts of everyday life. Chat. So bring it in. Bring it in. Make it clearer for your learner. So when you say that I'm going to say, okay, do you want to eat lunch now? That's a question. I'm waiting for your answer, for your response. So then give them the spell board or their AC device, or they write, or whichever way they communicate. So that was a question. So when anybody asks a question, what comes back from you is the response or the answer. Sometimes it's a yes or a no, or it can be other words. So let them get into a kind of a familiar zone with what this is all about. That is a question answer, you know. And knowledge, like I said, builds on connection. So whatever you do, whenever, you have to revisit, you have to repeat in some ways. Some connection to that has to be kept going. Another important thing for homeschoolers is the content to be used. What has worked for me is age appropriate content, irrespective of when my learner has started with formal academics. So if there's a 10-year-old who has just started, I don't start with ABCD. It's demeaning, insulting. Your learner, your child, who may never have stepped out of home, is still very much aware that the ABCD is for children. So we start with stories, we start with poetry, we start with other kinds of books, textbooks where the print is there. And as we do the reading, and I say that I learned it when I was very young, so I'm going to read it for you now, and you will be picking it up along the way. So when I read the sentence, I said, this letter, this is the A, this is the B, and this is the S. So there are so many letters. It's very confusing. No problem. Keep doing it along the way. Subject like math, which builds on previous knowledge. Yes, you have to start with that, but not necessarily you start with 1, 2, 3, 4 and counting and, count the number of pictures and show me and that. No, not for an older child. Picked up all that peripherally. You have to believe that. And you can mention it. You can say that I have a feeling that you know the numbers. You've heard it in the environment. You've heard people talking of 2, 3, 800, whatever. So this is the way it's represented on paper. These are the symbols. And we learn it along the way. So start with addition, you start with bigger numbers, smaller numbers. You can start with fractions. It's a concept. And it is to do with the maturity of the brain. It is not to do whether the child is a first-time learner at the age of 8 or 10. So age-appropriate content with the relevant background to do the bridging of what the child has missed. But do not begin, if your child is 6, 7, 8, 9 years old, do not ever begin with the nursery curriculum. They are not nursery children. They just hate it. They absolutely know that they are being infantilized. They absolutely know that this is not actually meant for me. And you are hitting below the belt. It's a huge blow to self-esteem. So I tell my learners who come in late, or, even learners who are not with disability or anything, but learners who were first-time learners who came in late. And I said, well, your circumstances were such. So let's move on with the chapter. And while we are moving on with the chapters, you will pick up the letters along the way. It's not a big deal. I tell them that. Numbers are not a big deal. Knowing the numbers in sequence is not such a big deal. What we need to understand is what is bigger and what, because numbers are to do with quantity. So you bring in the concept of quantity, greater, lesser. So you have to treat your learner age appropriate. Again, I repeat, do not fall victim the way society is a victim of perception. My child doesn't talk, my child doesn't listen, my child doesn't show me anything, my child has absolutely no understanding. How do you conclude that? So let's not do that. The understanding is there, the listening is there, the responding is there. It's in their own ways. And if we are parents of children who are different, then we have to come to terms with these differences. And then, in spite of these differences, we will try our level best to give them their right, the right to education. Then we'll see. If it stays within the walls of the house, no problem. We have an educated child in the house. May not have ever taken an exam, that's fine. But we will not deprive our child of the basic right. You know, I know autistic. There's a kid who was to come to me. They're back again. Still hasn't figured out chewing. Autistic, non-speaking, hasn't figured out chewing. Gulps, at least gulps. Is the mother keeping him starving? Oh, he can't chew, ma'am. I can't feed him. No, the mother's feeding him every day, and he's making an effort. I see that. I saw him. I met him sometime back after about a gap of 2 years. He's making an effort. Maybe his muscles are figuring out chewing in some way. Let's see. But the feeding is going on. So that's the way it is with education. Right. So,
Champaji, just a quick question.
huh,
So, a lot
sure.
of times in our groups, there are questions on Fridays and other days that the child is going to a special ed school or some alternative learning space, and there they are telling the children, the parents, that we are going to, start from ABCD or nursery, like you said, nursery, and
Yeah.
something like that. They say that this is the foundation and this is where you should start, even if the child is 10, 11, and can learn more. So, in that case, the parents hear from so-called experts, right, that that's where they should begin with. So, what would you say to that?
Oh, I would fight it tooth and nail, Bindu. I would tell them that my child is a minor. I am the primary decision maker here, and the law allows me. Please do the age appropriate content. I will do the bridging at home. We cannot really cannot have this perpetuation of this system primarily followed in America, where till they are like 20 or whatever, they are still sitting in those special ed rooms and doing those little matching and all that. And now we have so much evidence now that a lot of non-verbals have found their voice through AAC. We hear it straight from them when they have condemned this atrocious behaviors with them. We have multiple non-speaking autistics saying that we were so bored out of our brains being asked to sit and do things that was like so infantile. So I would fight it, absolutely. And so when we come to the schooling, I mean, what I was trying to say, that if our children are going somewhere, then we also have to be their advocates and fight with the systems that seem to expect similar responses. Just because my child is not writing something, and that doesn't mean that you're not going to teach him the next level. You're an expert. Autistics have motor difficulties, writing and all. That doesn't mean he doesn't know or he doesn't understand. Please teach him everything. So it's a terrible fight, Bindu. Some will, say, please take your kid away and go. No, okay, fine. I'll tell them, I'll take my kid away and go. That's okay. I'll find something else to do. It's a bitter fight. There's no other way to describe it. So, fingers crossed that some more years into this bitter fight, some slight shifts will happen. But just yesterday, I had a chat with a mother when this kid was attending OT in some pretty well-known. I mean, the person is well-known. The person has a very good reputation, but something went very wrong on in the session yesterday. This kid was taken in for a group session. Something happened. The end result was the child has a broken tooth, an uprooted tooth, both incisors, one is uprooted along with the root, it's been torn out of the gum, the other tooth is broken. How can that happen? Maybe when we do not align our plans and expectations along with the knowledge we have of the condition. Autistics take time to adjust to a new place, to new people. They are sound sensitive. We know all of this, but we just become so glib in it. It's just an everyday, white noise. So something terrible happened between two children, and one has been grievously injured. So no, 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 no. We are not going to allow the world to dictate to us about who our children are and what they are capable of. We are ready to collaborate and cooperate if there are some, timings or whatever it is, some extra help at home or whatever. We'll try to our level best, but do not treat our children as like dodos and that they can't do their own. No, not acceptable. Right. So, like, and even if your kids are going, like I just said, by default, the main work will be done at home by. It'll be a rare case when a lot of learning and everything will be taken up by the places that the kid goes to. Most of it you will be doing at home. So why not give it your best? Right. So when we actually start and we keep this going, we keep it in mind. The response expectation. Now we are giving. We've been talking of precipitation. We've talking of photosynthesis. We've talked of coal and we've talked of geothermal energy. We've talked of a whole lot of things. And now we want to know how much our kid has learned and all. Now, to start with, when this input is going on, your response expectation should be 0, actually. Absolutely. And ideally for almost 2 years from the time you actually start giving inputs to your child. Now, that doesn't mean that you don't give opportunities to your child to respond. The opportunities are given right from the beginning. You take the pencil and you make the marks, whatever comes to your mind. If you think that's the way the letter is formed, you can figure it out or type it out or show, point, tell. There can be all kinds of finger movements. Yeah, I can see you're making an effort. Yeah, you're almost there. Right. But it is not an expectation. It is actually for your learner to figure out this give and take, this cause and effect. It takes the learner quite a bit of time to figure out the connection between the two. So your response expectation has to be held at bay. It is part and parcel of the interaction. It can go any which way it wants to. It should not dampen your spirits. It should not make you feel, oh my God, my kid is not learning. I've been teaching numbers for 5 months. He can't even point to number 5. Probably in his head, your kid is saying, Ma, please move on to 5,000. Why are you stuck with 5? You know, I think that I can see it in their expressions. So response expectation has to be really, really curbed. It's not easy. We all want to see proof of, my child's learning. It's such a great feeling when a child kind of displays. But for the benefit of the learner, we cannot bring in this stress. Because the moment there is response expectation, the learner goes into performance anxiety. The stress level rises, the cortisol is rising, learning is taking a backseat. Now it's all about what am I supposed to do? What is this thing coming? Right in the line, where line, what right, what does it even mean? So we have ruined a good learning, interaction. So we don't have response expectation to begin with at all. But like I said, the practices are there. I'm reading this story for you, and in this the other picture, there's this other page. There's this picture of a big tree, And okay, this is how I point. I see, I see the tree here. Do you see it? It may come, it may not come. Yeah, I think you see it. I'm sure you see it. It goes on like that. So the practice comes. See, show, tell, type, write, whatever, draw. All the response, the conventional response tools are brought into the interaction. So in the beginning, it's a 90-10 ratio. Your time that you're spending in a formal learning kind of an interaction, 90% of that is your input. And that time, your kid may be just about anywhere in the room. He may be on the terrace and you may be in the ground floor. Doesn't matter. Your input goes on because it's being received. That has to be your belief. It is my belief, concrete, non-negotiable, because I'm 62 years old almost. And I've had it thrown at my face for the last 40 years. I don't have a choice. I have to believe it. I can understand your skepticism. So many of you are beginners in this. And on top of that, your mamas, your stake is so much emotional. But you have to believe it. It's being received. And you will get proof of it. You will get proof of it. I can give you my word on that. You will get proof of it. You have to wait for it. It will come at the most unexpected moments. You won't even be looking for it and suddenly, oh, did my kid suddenly do that? Or did he suddenly say, oh my God, he already knows addition. I've been teaching him 2 plus 2 and he's doing 23 plus 32. Like, it's crazy sometimes how it comes, but it'll come. So 90-10 is the ratio proportion of input response to begin with. Then scale it down over a long period, like I said, 2 years at least to begin with. And finally, kind of stop at 60-40. So 60 is still input and 40 is response. Why? Because it's fatiguing. It's very tiring for our children. Response is so exhausting. And that is just about the upper limit of the ratio. So when you actually reach a kind of a 60-40 ratio of how much you're giving in the teaching time and how much you're expecting your child to respond, show and respond, you need to break it up also sometimes for the younger children. Till some of them grow up to get a little more used to, when their fingers and their muscles of the neck and the back get a little more used to being in a certain posture. But it's really hard work. It's terrible hard work. So response is always much lesser than input time. You have to have that cardinal rule. And the breaks have to come in. What needs to be put in between the breaks has to be decided very intelligently for the next learning session to be effective. If your break has been really good, not from your point of view, you have to know your child to know what works as a break for your child and get them to communicate with you, get them to tell you. They tell you all the time. You've got to start listening. They show you all the time. So schedules, completely customized. There cannot be a copycat system here. Some children are so good early in the morning. Some afternoon, some evening, some can take it through for an hour and a half. Some need 10 minutes break every time. It's completely customized. So do not fix yourself to any theory. What works for my child? Discover that. Don't go by what somebody else is doing. Oh, Champa ma'am said I have to do this. No. Champa ma'am doesn't know your child. You know your child. She has said it as an example of one child. It may work for your child. You can try it out. But if it doesn't, it doesn't. You fix another schedule. And we go back to what we said. Schedules have to have a lot of possibilities so that our children grow, comfortably into this rhythm of possibilities. It's not easy for them. Transition is tough. That's how their minds work. They get engaged with something and then we ask them to come out of it and get into something else. It's agony. It's terrible. So the slashes right from the beginning, bring in that factoring in. Things can change. Things can be different. So I have this list of things that I must do with my children every day as a mother, as a teacher. And there are about 8-9 items. So eat, sleep, play or entertain. Now that is subject to who and how my child is. Can be self-play, pretend play, parallel play, cooperative play, anything. Entertainment, again, as per my child's preferences. The cleaning routine, the bathing, washing, pee, poop. We know about interoception problems. So they have to be part of kind of scheduled into a child's. So again, if your child is very comfortable with his grooming routines, you don't have to really, make it declared. But there are children who are dying to pee, but they don't know they're dying to pee. Or I don't know whether they don't know. I don't know what words to put, because they're dying to pee, but they're not going to pee. Let's put it that way. Now that's the time you're asking them a question. Do you want to do susu? And they're saying, oh, no, 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 no. But I feel that if they kind of were in that frame, they would have just gone, because these are kids who are independent. They go and do susu on their own. So what I tried is get the spell board and I say, now we're going to go to the washroom and do susu. And I say, yes. And he says, yes. And he goes with me, because he knows yes means something that has to be done. So maybe bring it in like that and make that factoring in happen, that, it's connected. So I say, your action tells me susu wants to come out. So let's go to the toilet and bring the susu out. Yes. So I'm kind of saying yes. And he's also pointing to yes, and then we go and do it. So it depends on the child. But it's extremely important to make it a part of the schedule. Then the differentiation between guided learning time and self-engagement learning time. Right from the beginning, you need to bring in this vocabulary. You can use words that suit you best. Whatever language, whatever terminology your child responds to. Guided learning is the time when the child should expect an adult to be with them and tell them things, or show them things, or give them, things to do. It's like a command. Many of my children don't like it at all. They don't like to be told. But I tell them it's guided learning time. You'll have to tolerate me now for some time, 10 minutes. And then you get your self-engagement time. Self-engagement, anything. Water, mud, clay, food, music, rolling on the floor, sleeping, a rocking chair, anything. The magic is, when a child self-engages, you don't intervene, except dire safety issues. What I observe in parents, almost 99%, that there is a child self-engaged, whatever they're doing. Now, this parent will go and say, isko aise kar do, keep this here, do this. Oh, such a nice jigsaw. Oh, you made this coloring. Why are you doing that? Why are you giving your child an idea that you always have to be around for the child to be functional? No. Self-engagement means you're on your own. I'm there. I'll always be there for you. That is a given. But this is a time you do things on your own. How do I do it? Where do I do it? Where do I put this? Figure out, man. Go figure out. And in that figuring out, a lot of mishaps will happen. Things will get broken, books will get torn, things will get thrown. It's not a crime. That is where self-engagement takes either a boost or a dampener. What have you done? Oh my God, I left you for 2 minutes and you've ruined this. God, he didn't do it deliberately. The kid was figuring it out. It was a heavy book. It happened to be, let's say, huge, heavy, thick book. Took it off the shelf, crashed, tore. Parent ran. I dragged the parent back. We are also building guilt because it was unintentional. That's the second thing you always have to believe. You may be wrong. Sometimes children do things intentionally, but doesn't matter. They are our children. No harm in believing that they did something wrong unintentionally. I will believe it to my dying day that when my child does something wrong, it was unintentional. And I tell my child you did not intend to hurt me. I know that. So you didn't intend to tear that book. And it's like, I said, we'll repair it. It's doable. How are you going to otherwise build self? I get this question a lot from parents. Ma'am, my child doesn't do anything without me. Yeah, but have you tried not to interfere when the child is trying to do something and making a mess of it? We are mothers of children with children, and then children with diversity. So there'll be a lot of mess in our lives. Clothes are going to get spoiled, they paint everywhere. A lot of things are going to happen. Nothing is more precious than my child. I can have a, 1 lakh sofa in my house and it's got painted red, blue, yellow, whatever. My kid, fine, it was 1 lakh, it was 2 lakhs. My kid's life is, can't put a figure to it, right? So we have to build this capacity for self-engagement slowly with the belief, with the conviction, and be there watching like a hawk for safety. Because we have kids who swallow things, who try all kinds of different things. So one is to kind of child safe your home or the environment to some extent, and the other is just be alert. But that doesn't mean you jump in and intervene all the time. You have to build self-engagement because you will need it once your child moves a little further along the formal education path. You will need the child to do things on their own. So build it as part of life. The vocabulary. Guided learning is with me or with Appa or with your tutor or with your teacher or with your therapist or with whoever, with your coach. Self-engagement learning is yourself. Pick up and do. Decision making can be a challenge for our children. We can give them suggestions. That, okay, these are all your self-engagement things. And they can be the same things. Books, writing, jigsaw puzzles, whatever you use for learning, they can be similar things. And books and all, sometimes mothers find it difficult. What topic, what level? Just use the books used ordinarily in schools, for your age appropriate. Like if your kid is 7 years old, you can take books that are done in grade 1, grade 2, grade 3, kind of that, you can pick up the topics from there. Make it more interesting for your child. Use the vocabulary that your child is more comfortable with. So you can use books and all. And there's tons of material on the internet. You can spend some time, look at videos. If your child is the kind who kind of sits and watches a video for some time, use it. But nothing in isolation. Everything is connected. Everything is a part of life. Everything is done without the expectation in the beginning. The firmness has to be there, definitely. Our children are intelligent. They know very well how to manipulate us and get their way. So you have to know the difference. My mantra, and I tell my children, I said, your whatever it is, your CP or your ID or your autism is an explanation for who you are and how you do things. It's not an excuse. No, you can learn better, or you can learn different, if not better. So it's not an excuse. Never. Disability or disorder or a neurodiversity can never be an excuse for anything. It is an explanation. It helps us to understand the why and the how. But I don't let my children get away with something that I have this kid who just pours bucketfuls of water on the bathroom floor whenever she visits. So we are again and again, no, not done. You think she's learning in one day? No. But the time will come when she'll figure it out that this is what I'm not supposed to do. And she'll stop herself. So every day it's like big eyes as a no, you're not supposed to do. Come, take the mop. So she takes a mop, I take a mop, and we both mop the bathroom some 20 times in 2 hours. But doesn't matter. That's a bit of hard work that we have to do with our children, but we'll get there. So that's kind of the basic I thought I would just give to you as my experience or my learning of the years. And if you want to ask me questions, anything specific to you, your kid, how to begin, anything, let's take the questions. Yeah, Raksha.
Ma'am, I agree with everything you say, but we are also human and there is a level for patience, right? Like when you said mopping, for example.
Yeah.
So, how do you keep that tolerance for us to be patient and give them the chance to learn themselves?
I think, Raksha, what I have worked on very consciously over the years, like I said, it's a parallel. First is my response expectation um, is very controlled. I I match my expectation with how much time I have spent on a particular skill and the personality of the child. So if this is a child, if it, I'm talking, the child I'm talking about is extremely impetuous, an ADHD kid. So I know the urge takes over. It's an explanation for her behavior. But am I forgiving her for it or saying, okay, let it be? No, I'm not. As and when I can see that it's going to happen, I will stop it before it happens. But I understand your point of view. Sometimes you just have to give in. You just have to say, I'm so upset. I really can't take this. You've got to remember this. you know but the other thing is that a lot of these kind of behaviors that we see in autistic children are not the way we would say it is for the naughty children and all that. A lot of times these behaviors are for different kinds of sensory gratifications. So when I see a very repetitive cycle of that, it's happening again and again, and then I tell the child that I'm getting a sense that you like that feeling on your feet of wet water and all. So, okay, let's find a way, maybe have a bucket, splash in it, or so whatever you see is happening as coming again and again. See if you can understand it from the lens of autism. Is it something that your child is looking for? Then you need to gratify that need because the mind is upset if that need is not gratified. And you can find different ways and appeal. So we can make 5 minutes for this and then carry on with that work. And it's all very customized. But there is no way out apart from the patience. Sometimes you just have to let go. What you cannot allow yourself is to lose your temper. It's very scary for the children. I scream at the kids. I mean, I really, really, I'm loud. And one of my kids has made a song, whack on the back. So I have this, cupped hand. But they are not traumatized because it does not generate fear in them. These and some other measures are all used to nip the loops that they are getting into. And a lot of times they are loops that the kid actually wants to come out of. But being the autistic person that she is or he is, they're not able to get their muscles out of that. So you can use different kinds of, but actual anger must never be allowed to enter your mind for your child. Remember, nothing is deliberate. It's all part of that profile that you are trying to understand from the time your child was, diagnosed or born even. It's all part of that. And that profile is going to change miraculously over the years. So much is going to be added. A child who's 6 now, and you know your child is an autistic 6-year-old, and this are the features of your child's autism. You will have a completely new list by the time your child is 10 or 15. It's the same child, it's the same autism, but it's life, progression of life. So it is never, never deliberate. So do not let anger creep in. You will have moments of absolute fatigue. You just can't take it anymore. Within your own circle of your family situation and support system, whatever, you have to find those breaks for yourself. You started with this very, okay, today I'm going to, teach about bigger numbers and smaller numbers. And you've got all the tools, you've got the videos, you've got the things. And that was one day your kid decided that he just doesn't want to do it. Give it up. Don't let yourself reach that threshold of frustration. That is very harmful for the child. And of course, for you. It doesn't matter. You can teach it tomorrow, day after. Sun will rise again. So today, okay, Baba, jane de, chalo, we'll go for a walk. I'll go, you watch your TV, I'll watch my TV. A lot of things about devices for our autistic children. There are these things, don't give too much device, too much screen time. I would be skeptical about this. I would test it, because so many of our autistic children are, the devices are their lifelines. It's everything for them. And apart from that, I have a lot of speaking autistics who've told me they'd rather speak to the device than to me, as a person. I had one child who told me, your face moves too much. So I said, oh, okay. And so I am this, you've seen me, I'm extrovert. So whenever I still am like that with her. She has kind of passed out of Mayakunj and gone to other places and whatever, doing other things. But she comes as a visitor. She loves everything about Mayakunj. So she's made a deal with her parents that whenever I feel like I'm going to go there, so she comes. So whenever she comes, I have to school my features and I'm like, hello, how are you? And make my face move as less as possible because I know it troubles her a lot. She can't take that input. So she looks away, she looks down. And because now we have this relationship, like your face moves too much, she told me one day. I said, oh, now I get it. So you see, devices find ways of using everything that the world has at the moment for the benefit of your kid. To hell with what others are saying. Absolutely. How will your child survive if they can't tolerate noises? How will your child survive if they can't do this simple calculation? I'll see how my child will survive. But for the moment, I don't want to torture him so much that he kind of, just goes off the complete idea of living life. Or even I go off. So do not enter frustration thresholds for yourself, neither for your kid. What you plan for today can be done some other day. You've tried. A lot of mothers come to me, ma'am, I've tried AAC, ma'am, I've tried Spellbound. Nothing, my kid is just not interested. But it's not very nice for me to say it, but somewhere I feel that the mother didn't believe the child can do it. It starts from there, presuming competence. And they give up too soon. And when something is difficult, you can leave it for the time being. But there's no harm in revisiting after a few months, a year, 2 years, because these are the small things that open up the world for our children. We can't give up so easily. So take a break, Raksha. There's no hurry. Do not fall into that thing. My kid has to do his 10th exam at 14 years of age, has to do that. There are no has to do's. 2 3 years here and there really doesn't matter, doesn't achieve anything. So don't be in a race against yourself. Education takes time, learning takes time. You have to have a calm mind, uh, enjoyable sense. Choose different places in your house where you do the learning. Sometimes you can go outside and do the learning also. It's not necessary it has to be done with books and notebooks, and it has to be done on a desk and chair. It can be taken anywhere where there's comfort.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yeah. Yeah, Rashmi says even when mother believes others find it being ambitious. To hell with others, Rashmi. They're not bringing up your kid. Just give them a polite smile and ignore them for the rest of your life. So you just carry. I completely agree with you. Completely agree with you. A lot of people will tell us, why are you even trying this with this kid? This kid it's so obvious this kid can't do. I don't even listen to them. I tell the mothers not to listen. So we don't need to take more battles than we can deal with in our lives. Just the fact that each one of us is bringing up a child with a lot of challenges, with a lot of different things, is a huge battle in itself. No need to take on all this idiotic stuff. So yeah, people can be, and
Ma-
sometimes the
uh,
challenge is that these are people, there could be families, they can be in-laws, they can be even spouses. Sometimes husbands don't agree with what the wives want for the child. Sometimes the mothers don't agree with. So these are family situations, but one parent, that one person, a grandparent, whoever, if there is such a person in a child's life who is ready to presume competence, now that person has to just go forward. People will definitely say all kinds of things. Yeah, completely agree with you.
Ma'am, I wanted to ask about
Yeah.
OCDs
Hmm.
and that eloping kind of a behavior. Like, how do we manage through that? Like, every time I don't want to create a PTSD with, a letterboard and AAC. And I do try to make it into blocks for Elijah. But
Hmm.
I like there is a particular point wherein he goes into an OCD of spelling particular letter continuously. And
Hmm.
how do we scramble that and how do we bring that? Because it'll probably go on for like 10-15 minutes, and
Hmm.
it's and coming back, it looks like he's forgotten all that he's learned. So how do we, break it up and manage it, and how do we keep the session fluent and productive?
Right. Yeah, this is quite a significant thing. So there are 2 3 things that come to my mind. One is that, of course, try the diversion of breaking the loop. Tapping the finger, taking the board away, moving on to something else immediately, like by way of showing, if not typing, by way of showing something else that the fingers need to do, um, because it's the muscle that's going tuck, 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 tuck. So now this same muscle, if you can utilize it in a different activity. One is that. The other is divide the time. When you see that loop entering, you said, okay, the guided learning time stops now, and it is your self-engagement time. If you want to engage with your keyboard, I'll give you 10 minutes of engagement with the keyboard. And after that, we move into lunch, or it's completely off, something absolutely different. So you may feel that the breaks come in too often and that the learning times are very truncated, they're very, very tiny. But it pays to kind of convey a lesson or a concept or an idea in like 5, 10, 15 sessions of 10 minutes each or 15 minutes each, spread over the day, spread over 2 days, 3 days, rather than try to bring the learner back into where you left off. And then that's where you get the feeling that he's forgotten everything. He hasn't forgotten. What has probably happened is the prioritization of the whole loop, the muscle movement has happened. So either way, if you can break the loop, you can get up, you can have him get up, you can change the topic, you can change the tools, the mode that is being used, and it has to be like cut. It has to be tucked like that, because that is what the loop is all about. It's just stays and stays and stays. And so I think the principle to follow here is discontinuation of the activity. Now, discontinuation, that you figure it out how it works. You try different things. But I feel that if you've tried different things, something will click. Something will click. And your kid will also figure out that this loop needs to, I think probably he wants to come out of it himself. He definitely. And
Yeah,
sorry.
definitely, ma'am. I see that he
Huh,
he wants to come out of it, but he's
yeah,
unable to,
I
and
don't.
I'm unable to figure out the start of it also. I don't know what is causing like certain letters. Is it certain letters? Is it the shadow of it? I can't recognize the start of it. So I don't know how to scramble it either.
Could you
Like
could
moving
you
it into.
take could you do a bit of a logging, observation logging for yourself over the next week, let's say, and then we can get back, on an individual discussion. Maybe you can WhatsApp me or something. Can you time it? Just as an observation, like
Okay, ma'am.
let's see whether it is connected to time. I mean, if we are able to figure out the trigger, then it will make it easier for you to address it. So let's take time as, so there could be a time element of 5 minutes, 7 minutes, 20 minutes, whatever, where more or less you see the recurrence of this tapping thing, the continual tapping. Give it 7, 8 days of your work, normal, just don't change anything, just the way you work with him, and see, just log the time that, okay, I started at this time and this is when this happened. Next day I started at this time and this is when it happened. Let's see if we can figure out a pattern of time, duration of, tolerance. Um, we discuss it next weekend. And if
Um,
nothing is revealed,
yeah.
we try other things. Okay? Were you saying something else?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, now I can. Yeah.
Okay. Ma'am, I also wanted to ask, I missed half of the session. Like, what are the tips in teaching an auditory child like Elijah visual topics like maths? I know it's a struggle. I know, we need to bring in stories and all that, but maths is a visual subject as much as we can, bring in stories on concepts and things like that. How do we?
Auditory learners are doing their own visualization when you're giving them the auditory input. So,
I am.
yeah, I mean, like, I'm basing my understanding on some children with actually a visual impairment that I've worked with. Contrary to how we think of a visual input or whatever it is quite surprising how an auditory learner is actually figuring out mapping his own visuals to the auditory input. So also try just reading out the stuff or saying it out. The thing is there for you to see, for him to see, and you can tell Elijah that this thing is lying around over here. I am just giving you this thing. So depending on what you're doing, let's say you're doing a word problem on simple addition of, say, double-digit numbers, and was saying, okay, so there was a shopkeeper and he bought 38, pieces of erasers or something from one vendor, and then he went and bought another 29 pieces. So first he got 36 and then he got 29. Now he wants to find how much there is in all. So what do we do with this? And so you're just talking, you're saying it out, and let's see how Elijah responds to that. I think the visualization is not a problem. Don't get stuck with a belief that it is more visual than other subjects or whatever. If he's an auditory learner, then give everything to him through that primary channel. And also, he's young. He's going to, he's going to grow into other maturities. We don't know what the future brings. So you keep it, like I said in the beginning, you can listen to the recording later. You provide that wide platform of possibilities. You tell him that, you know what, normally, like, people like me, your mama just reads it and sees it, but I think you don't prefer seeing it, but it's there for you to see. And you can just take a look whenever you feel like, or I can help you to take a look, but I'm going to tell you what it's all about because I think you like to hear things. So this collaborative, participative method of the teaching learning process really makes the learner feel empowered. We all like to be in control of what we are doing. So to the extent possible in a teaching learning process, hand over control to your learner. Hand over control by confessing where you are finding it difficult, by confiding your understandings of your child as a learner. All of that is handing control to your learner. The more control you hand to your learner, the more feedback you will get. And you are mothers who have a fantastic communication channel between yourself and your kid. So you're going to get a lot of very interesting feedback. So just do all the math with him auditorily. That's it. Keep talking about it.
Thank you, ma'am.
Neetu had raised her hand for support.
Yeah, Neetu, yes.
It was actually Karna. I really don't have any questions.
Yeah. So Karna wants to say hi.
Hi, hi, bye. Hi.
Hi, bye. Yeah, sure. How are you doing, Karna?
Bye.
He's saying bye-bye.
I know. I think he just sees that as part of the conversational thing that he sees all around. There's a hi and then there's a bye.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. So yeah. Anyone else? Anything that, and things may not come to your mind now, mamas. They may strike you later. Oh shit, I should have asked this. Never mind. Just write it down then and there and put it in the group. Or just message me or something. Do we have any test for auditory processing? Sometimes he responds and sometimes he doesn't. There are, but not very reliable. So processing is a lot of perception. And again, we base our understanding on responses. So maybe when you feel that he's not processing is because he's not displaying it. It's not showing you that he's heard it right or he's got it. Where are you based? Where this question has come from? Rajni. Oh, you're in Bangalore. Okay, fine. Maybe I can get back to you on this, on auditory processing. It can be done, but like I said, it's not really very reliable. So as of now, I think you can just confidently carry on with providing the inputs to your child, keeping aside this doubt of whether he's getting it or not. And principles of teaching, you're revisiting, you're repeating, you're going back to things. Whether he's responding, showing you that he's getting it or not, it doesn't matter. You keep giving the receptive levels, keep fortifying the receptive levels of learning.
Ma'am, did you, I'm not sure whether you address test taking skills.
Not today. Today, it was just the beginning, mostly for mamas who are just kind of thinking about, or I've just started with, if I could get my child to study formally. And so it was a little bit of just very foundational about, but these are principles that have to last forever till, you're supporting your child in college, you still have to remember what we spoke of today. So mostly that. And because we have to remember that even though we are doing NIOS, it's kind of a little more accessible. None of this has been designed for learners with diversity. NIOS wasn't designed for learners with diversity. It was designed for learners who do not have access to mainstream education. So there were some accommodations that were brought in, which suit many of our learners. Subject accommodations, then the fact that the exams can be taken in a staggered fashion, that works. So, but in iOS is not really curated and designed for particular kinds of learners. So yeah, we'll move to testing maybe a few months down the line when we have another meeting. Yeah. But I'm happy to talk about it any other time. Get on a conversation. Yeah, Rajan.
Yeah, Champa. Thanks for your inputs. I thought I'll ask the question directly. So, what our speech therapist says is, am I audible by the way?
Yes.
Yeah. Maybe he's able to listen to certain frequencies, and so he's not able to hear to certain frequencies, is what she says. So, but I mean, is there a test to check on that? Is what I wanted to know. He's a visual learner. He's learning things like that. But I mean, sometimes he responds even if I'm not giving attention to him, and I'm somewhere in the house and he's somewhere in the house. Some instructions I would have. I mean, which is not like based on environment basis also, which I would have told and he would have heard. But there are some times where I'm giving eye contact, where I'm giving full attention, but still he wouldn't respond. So that is something I was not understanding, you know, uh, what is happening.
Sounds like any child to me. All
Okay.
children are very selective about what they want to hear and what they don't want to hear. So it is quite possible about the frequencies. See, like I said, we really don't know much, the whole world. So we're not sure. Maybe we can look into this. It's interesting. We can find if there are testings for these frequencies and all. But firstly, I don't know what I would do with so much of that kind of information, because I don't know whether I'll be able to keep all my auditory inputs in a particular frequency if I knew, okay, this is the frequency my kid. So yeah. And also the fact that your child's response to auditory inputs is quite random, quite erratic. It
Yeah.
seems like he's responding to things that he wants to, and the rest is white noise. So
Oh.
it really sounds like any other child, and all children are like this. So if there are
Okay.
things you want to tell him and you really want him to follow, you have to make sure that he follows. Now, whether you go and give a physical prompt, you give a body prompt, you show a gesture, but you make sure that he follows it. So this is what I said. I want you to do this now. Very firm,
Okay.
very gentle, but firm. Because
Okay.
we don't want your kid, like I repeat, he's an intelligent child. Don't want him to figure out that I can just get away with choosing what I want to hear and not hear the rest of it. So no. So very critical things, you're calling him for food, it's a safety issue or whatever it is. If it's like that and you want him to follow it, You go up to him and you say, "This is what I said, and you need to do this now." And you firmly lead him to that action, because he will then figure out that I can't unhear everything.
Okay. I mean, what I feel is, like, for example, if I want him to, give me the phone, or, what, a glass which is on the table, I'm pointing it out and I'm showing him and I'm telling him he has my full attention and he wants to do it. I know that. He's trying to figure out what I'm telling him, but still he's not able to figure out.
That could just be the motor planning bit. It's
I didn't
quite
get that.
the motor planning, that's this whole planning of striking out his hand, catching the tumbler, picking it up, handing it to you. It's a lot of motor planning, muscle planning. So
Correct.
many autistics have trouble with that. So you could try, you could prod, you can shove the glass a little, or prod a little bit on the, said pick it up, or curl his fingers around, and you could do things like that. So like I said, that all your inputs, try not to base them on performance expectation. Because don't base your conclusions about your child on what he's showing, what he can do, because that's the complex part of autism. And Vanya can add a lot, can add something significantly important to the auditory. So, Vanya, can we have your input, please?
Yeah, yeah, hi. Just being an audiology and speech therapist,
Yes.
I
Yes.
mean, audiology is not what I specialized in, but of course I learned. Just to give your, I think, Champa, you have explained it beautifully. But what I was just wanting to just add a little bit is that the frequency part is just the like the different tones. You have low frequency and you have high frequency, like that. So it's just different frequency, and that is the hearing sense. So is the sound entering your ears? So that's just the hearing. But then you have the next level, like once the sound enters, it goes to the brain, which is the whole processing. So that's the whole cognitive, and that's where a lot of higher level cortical function is adding to your brain is involved. So now, when you said your speech therapist said that he's not hearing some frequencies, that is just a hearing issue. So if you can literally test that by standing in another room and seeing whether he's hearing you or not, and mostly children on the spectrum, they have fair good hearing. So then you have the next step: are they understanding what you're saying and processing? That's the cortical function. And sometimes with children on the spectrum, both these parts are fine. The hearing is fine, the understanding, processing is fine. But then again, they come to the motor part, that is the output. They can't show you that they are understanding. So that's the apraxia is affecting that. So you really cannot tell. It's all little. There is no test that kind of takes all these three things into consideration, unfortunately. So one thing you can surely on your side do is make sure the hearing frequencies are, you can go to an audiologist, get the hearing frequencies, at least the hearing is fine, everything is entering in. Chalo, that is taken care of. Then the next step, understanding, you can test by visually presenting pictures where he has to do simple task of pointing, not too complex, like ways to make sure that his understanding is there. Then you'll come to know that the motor is affected. So you kind of separate these three processes, knowing which one is really majorly being affected. And most of the time, it is motor functions that are, the output. They cannot give you an output, they cannot follow your instruction, because the brain cannot tell the hand key, now get up and pick that glass of water. you know so you will say, oh, he's not listening to me, oh, he's not hearing me. What is it? Is it listening? Is it hearing? Is it apraxia?
Understanding.
Is it understanding? There's so many parts to it. So you literally cannot say, like that speech therapist saying that the frequency is off is just one small little part, which is easily, actually, most of the time, the frequency is perfectly fine. Nothing is wrong with his hearing. Unless there was some, like, major, they had some major ear infection when they were growing up, then sometimes that does affect and they have a hearing loss. But you can test that easily at home. Go into the other room, say something softly.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
see if he's turning his head, startle, that is a basic hearing. Yeah.
Okay, that's
So I
great.
don't know if I made some clarity, but
You did.
with respect to the hearing system.
Yeah. Thank you for that input. Sorry, I didn't get your name.
Vanya.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mamas, I have
Most
to
welcome. Most welcome.
I have to step out to another commitment I have. So if there are nothing comes like a thing, just now to your mind, like I said, please note down. And a lot of times questions come later. Suddenly you relate and say, oh my God, I didn't ask this. Please make a note. And I am always available for a continuum to take your questions, because we don't learn how to teach our children in one day. It's a constant learning. So there will be constant questions, and the more questions you have, the better it is for all of us. Because one question from one mother will address a lot of areas of doubt in all of us. So let's keep this going. Keep your questions ready. Just post them, find that, and we will again set up another time and date sometime from now,
Sure.
when we take it a little further into the preparation, little more into the pragmatics of the preparation of the child with for studies and things like that, and like tests and exams and all of that, and keep revisiting all these discussions.
Sure. Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you so much for taking
Most
time.
right. Most
And
welcome.
thank you to all of the parents who joined us and asked questions. I hope it was useful, and I'm sure it was useful. And we'll keep this going. Maybe we can have this once a month as and
Yeah.
when needed. And we can maybe have more focused topics in the coming sessions where we focus on one particular issue and for an hour or so. And we can get more out of Champa ma'am's rich experience that way. Thank you, ma'am.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Yeah.
Have a
Bye.
nice Sunday evening, everybody. Thank you. Thank you
Thank you.
all. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.